Hello, hello. Welcome back. Steph Granger, therapeutic mentor here, and delighted to have you back again this week for the Just for Today podcast. As I always say at the beginning of every of my episodes, I am very, very grateful for those of you that have reached out to me just to give me feedback on last week's episode, because truth be told, I do very little prep for recording these sessions. I know generally what I'm going to talk about. I hit the record button and off I go. I kind of just channel what I want to say. And as soon as I finish, I send it off to the lovely Tom that edits it for me. I can't remember what I've said. I genuinely can't. So I always have this little nervousness once it's sent off because I can't remember what I've said, hoping that I've covered everything I wanted to cover. And then I let it go, right? Because, what good is worrying and stressing yourself about something that's out of your control? I'm not going to re-record it. I'm not going to re-listen to it because I don't have the time to be able to do that anyway. Or the inclination. I quite like the fact that I just channel and chat. So, with that in mind, let's get going with this week's episode, which kind of ties in nicely, really, because I get a lot of my clients reaching out to me, very much asking me how to push themselves forward and not let fear hold them back. And fear drives everything, doesn't it? Fear has its place, right? We have to recognize that fear very much has its place. And without fear, some really horrible things might happen. We teach our children fear for very good reason in the main. We are teaching them not to run out into the road because they could get hit by a car. Don't touch that fire because you're going to get burnt. Be careful coming down the stairs because you might fall and hurt yourself, etc., etc., etc. Fear has its absolute place in how we move through the world. It's really, really important. And I think that's very necessary to acknowledge as I begin talking, because we need fear. We need fear to keep us safe. However, we don't need fear in everything that we're doing. And in many cases, fear is present in so many things that we're doing. And in some cases, it's stopping us from doing what we want to do. Consciously, we know that we might want to, stand up in front of 200 people and talk, share the message that you want to share, or present about your work, or speak about someone that you love. In any scenario, fear can hold us back from doing those things. But we also know that we want to do them. So consciously we want to do it. We are potentially excited about it, or not necessarily excited, but we want to do it anyway. And then unconsciously fear is sitting in there going, ooh, do we really want to put ourselves in that position where potentially we could forget what we're saying? We could get our message. Come on now. Has anybody ever done any type of speaking and then all of a sudden thought, what am I actually saying? And listened to their words, listened to their voice? That is where we get, as soon as we consciously speak, we start to notice our words and we start to think, am I getting it right? Is everyone paying attention? I'm doing it now as I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking, what do I want to talk about with fear? What message do I want to share? The minute we consciously start to speak, we get very nervous, we get very awkward about it. And it's probably in the main why I don't prepare as well for the podcast, because I want to channel from kind of what's inside of me, and I don't want to overthink it. And the minute I start to write notes for myself, the minute I start to almost write a script, it's not going to flow in the same way I want it to. So coming back to the point, let's say that you want to stand up and speak in front of people. Your unconscious mind at that point is going to potentially take over in one or two ways. It can either show up and say, don't do that, and I'm going to show you all the reasons why you shouldn't do that, and I'm probably going to sabotage your reasons for doing it, or at least I'm going to give it a good try. Or it can show up and go, this could be really exciting. I'm really looking forward to this. I'm really excited about this. I'm going to assume most people are going to fall into the first example, which is, you know, don't really want you to do this, so I'm going to sabotage this. Now, if you've listened to my podcast for a while, you'll know I talk very much about how our beliefs and behaviours become present in our life right now. But I'm going to go back over that because it's really, really important when we're acknowledging fear. Because our unconscious will have learnt from things that you've experienced or we've experienced through our lifetime. So let's just say you are 11 years old. Let's use that as an example because that's usually around senior school age. Could be before this, of course, but I'm just using it because it makes sense to me. The example I'm about to use is, it's going to be an example that's personal to me. You're in a maths lesson, or insert a lesson there that wasn't something that came easy to you. Maths never came easy for me, and it still doesn't. But that's okay because I'm skilled in many other areas. I can't be brilliant at everything, right? But you're in maths, you're being asked a question, you've got to put your hand up. You put your hand up, you give this answer, you get it wrong, and the whole class laughs at you. Or you are in school again, and school's a big one, isn't it? Because we are so we're forming so many of our beliefs when we're in school, you know, because we're in school a long time, you know, potentially from the age of 4, depending on when you were born in the UK, all the way up to the age of sort of 15, 16. That's a long time, and there's a lot of life experience because we're in school 39 weeks out of a year. So a good chunk of our early years where we're forming a lot of our beliefs and our behaviours is going to be experienced at school. You could stand up in an assembly and you could have said something that was wrong and people, you know, did that noise. Oh my God, she's so stupid. Snigger, laugh at you. It doesn't have to be more than one event. One event can be enough for you to think, nah, I'm never going to be putting myself in that position again. Because what happens is the unconscious believes you are unsafe, that you are in danger. And the unconscious is here solely to keep us safe and to be our protectors. So it's going to not like you feeling that way. So that would have gone in the box of, let's just say, because I visualise my unconscious mind as a big storage facility full of boxes, and anyone that's worked with me before will know I use this all the time, this description. I see my unconscious mind as a giant storage facility with racks and racks and racks of boxes and boxes and boxes. And the boxes that are generally quite neatly tight, shut with a nice bow on them are, you know, experiences of the past, memories of the past that are fine and sitting well with you, and are processed and, you know, nice and neat and tidy. And then we have other ones that are not so much, things that might have happened in our lifetime which are still showing up for us now and causing us to maybe have regular flashbacks, or when we think about them we go into a state of panic. I like to think of those boxes as the lid's not quite on and it's a little bit flappy, and it's just a bit untidy and it's a bit rough around the edges, that box. And each time we make a decision or we get presented with a new experience, we will refer to one of those boxes. So if you imagine the box with the words written on the front of public speaking, or whatever, however you would describe it, there will be episodes in that box that aren't really comfortable. The box may kind of just be a little bit uncomfortable for you. And the unconscious is going to throw that up and go, no, we don't enjoy doing stuff like that. So it will want to keep you safe and want to sabotage your efforts to go forwards with that. So there is a saying that's used quite a lot of feel the fear and do it anyway. And I'm somewhat at odds with that saying. And I'm going to explain why. Because I like to think that our comfort zones, which has been created by the unconscious based on all the experiences that we've lived through our lifetime. We go into a space of comfort, which is a safe space. It's where we feel we know what's going on, we can see what's around us, everything feels nice and comfy, and we're just moving through the world in our comfort zone. When we want to step out of that comfort zone and do something out of the norm, out of the ordinary, like speaking in public, I'll use that example because most people can relate to that, and most people will remember how uncomfortable it, or can recall how uncomfortable that might feel for them. That is outside of our comfort zone. That is almost the danger zone. So visualize this beautiful kind of elastic band all the way around you. And for those of you that are watching on YouTube, you can see I'm swinging my head now. I don't know, I'm very, when I explain things, I do move my body. So yeah, sorry you can't see that for those listening on the platform. But imagine this beautiful elastic band going all around you. And it's a nice comfortable band. So it's keeping you all in. Everything's nice and secure within that comfort zone. Doesn't feel tight, doesn't feel pinchy at all. It feels nice and comfortable, hence the name comfort zone. Now, if your comfort zone means that you aren't speaking in public, you aren't being visible anywhere else other than when you feel safe, you're not pushing yourself in any other direction other than what feels comfortable and safe to you, then that's nice and nurturing within that space. If I was then to say to you, right, next week I want you to stand up in front of 200 people and tell them all about what you do, or share a life experience, or share a story, or share some knowledge, whatever, what you're doing is you're stretching that comfort zone really intensely, because that's way, way, way out of your comfort zone. Now, if anyone that's ever used an elastic band, you know what happens if you ping it too hard. It pings back, and it can give you a really nasty sting as well. Or if someone pings one at you, you're going to get a nasty sting. So that's how I visualize comfort zones when we push too hard, is we push, and then it pings us all the way back to where it wants us to be, where we are safe. So feel the fear and do it anyway. Yeah, I get that. We can't stay in our comfort zones if we want to advance. We can't stay in the same place if we want to understand ourselves better, if we want to develop ourselves, our skill sets, or if we want to, build our career and take ourselves up to a next level. Wherever we want to level up in our life, we can't do it from our comfort zone, because that is the zone where everything that we know sits in. Well, we're wanting to do something we don't know about, or learn something new. So that is stepping outside of that. But if we push really hard, we're just going to slap back. We're just going to ping back and stay nice and safe within our comfort zone. So what I encourage my clients to do, and anybody that works with me, is to still move forwards, but to take it in easy, manageable steps. Because then we don't go into overwhelm. Then it's not too much of a stretch, which pings us back. I encourage my clients to take baby steps, because baby steps are still steps. They're still steps forward, aren't they? It doesn't matter what size, whether we're taking massive strides or whether we're taking baby steps. We're still moving forwards nonetheless. So rather than pushing really hard, so you're going to go, it's like saying, tomorrow I am going to give up coffee completely. I'm just going to give it up. Eventually I'm going to come back to, no, I don't want to do that because it's something I love. It's actually taking something away from me. So I'm just going to go back eventually. Whereas if I wanted to, I don't. If I wanted to do that, I would take small steps. I know how I function. I know better to just reduce. It's when I used to have tea in my sugar. I used to have sugar in my tea years ago. I used to have 2 sugars. That's disgusting now when I think about it, like the taste of that much sugar in your tea. But there was a time when I decided I was going to give it up. So rather than just go cold turkey, what I did is I reduced. So it became my new norm. And this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm talking about. Just taking those baby yet powerful steps forward will take you to a place that you want to be. It's that intentional space. But it isn't, going so far out of your comfort zone that you're going to retreat really fast back, because it's too much. So just for today, I would like you to think about something you would like to achieve that feels really, really massively far outside of your comfort zone. So you haven't done it. Because like any of these things, we get overwhelmed. It seems too big. What's the point in even trying? I'm never going to get there. Let's just stay where we are, because where we are is familiar and safe. So just for today, I want you to start to think about something, either in the past or something that in the future that you want to achieve, and you haven't been able to. You haven't been able to because of the fear of what if you get there, or you haven't been able to manage the steps to get you there because they feel too big, or you took a step and it was way out of the zone, so you came back into your comfort zone under your blanket, and that's where you stayed. I want you to think about that. And then when you find something, or you can bring to mind something that you would like to achieve, or something in the past that you wanted to that you wasn't able to, break it down. Break it down into one step that you can take just for today. We don't need to get to the outcome. Let's say the outcome is speaking in front of 200 people. What could you do just for today that's going to start getting you forwards? That's going to just one baby step just for today. And tomorrow we'll think about the next step. But we're just going to gently start pushing that elastic band, that zone of comfort, just gently stretching it. And the more we gently stretch it, the more comfortable it gets, and the more familiar we are with the new stretch. And then we stretch again, and then we stretch again, and then we stretch again. And I do want to just pick up on the point that just because something is uncomfortable doesn't mean it's not right either. You may want to speak in front of 200 people, and you take the necessary steps. I don't know, you write what you're going to say, you practice what you're going to say, you visualize, all of those things. On the day, you may still feel uncomfortable, and that is okay. It's getting comfortable with uncomfortable, because we do sometimes have these unrealistic expectations that everything should be seamless and everything that we want to do should feel comfortable. Sometimes being uncomfortable is okay. So have a go, have a look at something and use that just for today mantra. I promise you, it makes life so much easier. I hope that's helpful. So before we finish up today, I wanted to just quickly give a shout out to the services that I provide, because I love presenting on this podcast, I really do, but I offer other services other than the Just for Today podcast. The WhatsApp community is fast growing. It is beautiful. I love it. I adore it. I love all the women in it. It is such a safe, supportive community. I also offer Pause and Reconnect, which is in real life, face-to-face day workshops with me. It's a retreat of style. It is coming together in a space, and I was with 3 ladies on weekend just gone, and we covered a whole array of things. We covered connecting to your inner child. We covered the Just for Today mantra. We looked at collateral beauty and starting to help these women understand and see the collateral beauty in their lives. We looked at the changes that women face as we go through womanhood. We looked at so many things, and I was able to give them support and give them tools to take away so that they can navigate life just that little bit easier as well. And of course, my one-to-one service as well. I love everything I do. I say it with everything, but one-to-one is beautiful because I get to really get to know my client in depth, what floats her boat, what's holding her back, and help her just free herself of the limitations of life and those layers that are being imposed on her in order for her to start moving herself forward in a beautiful, aligned way. So if any of that feels like something that would be a huge benefit to you in your life, I would love to hear from you. I'm going to sign off there. It's been lovely again to connect with you this week. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I will see you same time next week.